football. Tim Doyle has been riding the Northwestern train all year. The Wildcats may be on their way to being ranked after they beat Ohio State in Columbus 74-72. That's the first time they have won at OSU since 1977. So that leads us to this: legit or nah. Does the Wildcats' success this season, Dylan, make Chris Collins the Big Ten Coach of the Year?
I think that's legit.
Really?
I do. I think it's legit. I think when you look at I think it's just overall a down year for the Big Ten right now.
I would agree with that.
So with that being said, there's not any standout coaches that you say, oh my gosh, what a tremendous year. And when you look at expectations and who's living up to those expectations or exceeding them, I think when you look at Northwestern's expectations, Chris Collinsworth and this team right now are far exceeding them, to a greater degree than anyone else in the conference based on their respective expectations. Indiana's having a pretty good year, now riddled with a couple bad injuries. Michigan State has kind of picked it up and turned it around a little bit. But overall, it's sort of a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten conference right now. And Chris Collins having this team at 16-4, 5-2 in conference, a big win at Bad Modest, Ohio State. I know Ohio State, it's not the best version of this Buckeyes team we've ever seen, but still a tough place and a tough coach to go into their building and win in their barn. Something that, obviously Chris Collinsworth, this program has had a hell of a amount of trouble with. So when I think of who are the strongest candidates, I think Chris Collins has a better case than anybody.
Yeah, to your point about Northwestern, maybe one of the biggest surprises. A lot of parity in the Big Ten, but you expect Wisconsin to be good.
Yes.
You expect Purdue. Maybe Maryland has been a little bit of a surprise, but you just never know what you're going to get from Northwestern. And when they're doing things they haven't done in 40 years, like winning at Ohio State, certainly Chris Collins.
They're on pace to go dancing.
Yeah.
And just to even be in that discussion right now as we get ready for February.
Absolutely.
That is something that this program has never seen before in its history. For Chris Collins to have this team, if Chris Collinsworth wins Big Ten Coach of the Year, that'll be a real story.
That would be a huge shocker.
There'll be a lot of tweets and backlash. But where Chris Collins has this program, I think is something that is fairly unprecedented. And it's just starting to see the dividends paid off of him being a top-level coach, him coming from top-level other programs and having top-level experience and rubbing that off on this program. Took a little while. We were kind of wondering. People love the hire. I did as well. Talking to Tim, who's so connected to the program, he loved the hire. And starting to see what people are talking about when, I think they are going to be ranked.
Yeah, certainly something to see if they do get ranked, and can they eventually punch that ticket to the big dance for the first time in school history.